This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. If you are building with AI coding tools, but your features keep breaking, you need to check out BrainGrid. It is the product management agent for AI builders. BrainGrid turns messy ideas into clear specs, tasks, and prompts that coding agents like Cursor and Claude can actually build the right way. Ship real software, not fragile prototypes. Start free at braingrid.ai. This episode is sponsored by Alcor. Global hiring for engineering teams can be a nightmare. Too many providers, hidden fees, slow support, and local rules that don't make sense. Alcor is a different kind of EOR partner. They're built for tech companies scaling across borders with deep expertise in Eastern Europe and Latin America. Alcor combines employer of record services with tech recruiting, helping you choose the right country, find and assess engineers, and onboard them in days, not months. Nearly 85% of what you pay goes straight to your engineers. Alcor's fee decreases as your team grows, and you can always bring the team in-house with zero exit fee. That's why Silicon Valley startups, including 5 unicorns, work with Alcor. Learn more at alcor.com/podcast or tap the link in the show notes. This episode is sponsored by EquityBee. Stock options can be valuable, but exercising them often means taking on real financial risk. Putting tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars out of pocket with uncertainty around the outcome makes exercising a difficult decision for many startup employees. And that's where EquityBee comes in. EquityBee helps you exercise your options without using your own capital. No out-of-pocket costs. They provide non-recourse funding to cover exercise costs and taxes. There's no repayment unless the company has an exit. With EquityBee, you don't leave your equity behind. Go to codestory.co/EquityBee to learn more. See terms and conditions in the sponsors section of the episode page. That's codestory.co/EquityBee. This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If your team is collecting large volumes of logs, metrics, and traces, but still struggling to get timely answers, Mesmo can help. Mesmo is an active telemetry platform that processes and enriches observability data in real time before it's stored or analyzed. That means lower data volume, lower cost, and faster root cause analysis across your existing observability tools. To see how it works, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's MEZMO.com/codestory. Today's episode is brought to you by .tech Domains, and this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, I was building my startup and went hunting for that perfect .com and found next to nothing. So I did what every founder does, settled. Here's what I wish someone had told me. You're building a tech startup, just get a .tech domain. It instantly tells investors and customers what you're about. Don't overthink it. Get a .tech domain for your startup today.
So I thought, okay, it'll be a cool thing. The MVP would be, okay, we'll use some AI and our own models, and then we'll generate terraforms. But interestingly, AI was never able to come up with an 100% accurate terraform which can just run on click button migrate. There was always a human intervention needed. So I told this to Sharad. I think this is too aggressive and too ambitious thought you have taken. We cannot achieve it.
We wasted a lot of time with AI. And when we look into it, when there are a lot of competitions which heard what we were doing and they're trying to do it. And most of them assume that we are doing through AI. And that was the fun part because they're still trying to do it. So I'm loving it. Hi, I'm Sharad.
Hi, my name is Harshit.
And we are the co-founders at FluidCloud.
This is Code Story, a podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries.
Spent 6 months moonlighting.
There's nothing on the back end.
Who share what it takes to change an industry.
I don't exactly know what to do
Took
next.
many goes to get right.
Who built the teams that have their
A
back.
company is its people.
The teams help each other achieve
I was
more.
proud of our team.
Keeping scalability top of mind.
All that infrastructure was
Yes, we've been fighting it as we grow.
total waste of time.
The stories you don't read in the headlines.
It's not an easy thing to achieve, mind
Took it
you.
off the shelf and dusted it off and tried it again.
To ride the ups and downs of the startup life.
You need to really want
It's
it.
not just about technology.
All this and more on Code Story. I'm your host, Noah Lappart, and today how Sharad Kumar and Harshit Omar build infrastructure that moves with you so you can innovate where you want without cloud lock-in. Sharad Kumar lives in Pleasanton, California with his wife and 2 kids. He enjoys playing all musical instruments and spending time with his family. He has a 2-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old son into robotics. He is also passionate about giving back to the community through his company's foundation. Harshit Omar lives in San Francisco and is married with a 4-year-old son. He used to be a street racer in his college days, loving fast cars and taking risks. Nowadays, he is a big Marvel and comic book fan alongside his son. In fact, his son thinks he's Captain America, regularly wielding his shield and mask. A fun fact about both of these gentlemen, this is their 3rd company to work together, their 2nd startup, and their wives are sisters. So they are connected by wives and united by startups. In their previous startups, Sharad was leading sales and ops and Harshit was leading on the product side. When the company got acquired, it took them 8 to 9 months to integrate to a different cloud provider. They realized the model was broken, requiring expensive consulting services and not convenient at all. And they wanted to figure out a better way. This is a creation story of FluidCloud.
The world is changing, going towards AI, so much innovation happening. People are still locked up into the cloud providers and they don't have the freedom to go to any cloud provider the way they wanted on a click button. This is, as I said before, Harshit and my 3rd company and 2nd startup together. In the previous one, I was one of the co-founding team and did majority of the sales and business operations. Harshit was one of the major contributors from the tech perspective. When the company got acquired, it took us almost 8 to 9 months to integrate from one account of AWS to another account of AWS. And I'm like, this has to be integrated. It cannot take so much time. This is not right. Then I realized that most of the companies, when they have to do this, they'll get external consulting companies, the SIs, and everyone will come. They'll just charge a humongous bill and they'll just do it. And I'm like, no, this is not the right model. Everything is on a click button. Why this cannot be on a click button? And then we realized that the way these cloud companies, they have built the cloud APIs, everything is separate and different. And so that's where we started building FluidCloud, that can we have uniformity across the cloud APIs? And that's where we started building the whole company. And from there, the Broadcom acquisition happened for VMware, and then there was a price rise. And there are so many other incidences happened on the way from the cloud outages perspective and all that. We felt like, wow, we are very lucky to be actually giving birth to the true multi-cloud in the industry.
When it comes to infrastructure, and this is 2023, the year 2023 and 2024 has been the most disruptive for the infrastructure domain in the cloud infrastructure industry, because as Broadcom acquired VMware and then they started taking advantage of that, and customers really felt helpless. They can't do anything. Prices hike are there. They cannot move anything, stuff like that. Another interesting thing also happened was HashiCorp, they have Terraform, which was an open source code. And they all of a sudden they said, hey, this is no longer an open source. You guys should start paying. There's a huge backlash from the whole DevOps and developer community about it. And there was a birth of OpenTofu, which was a forked version of that Terraform, as well as a lot of people started checking into Pulumi and other alternatives. And then really you can't do anything. The change is huge. Your whole infrastructure, the whole ecosystem, because when you get an infrastructure, it's not just only cloud infrastructure, not bunch of cloud accounts and stuff like that and apps. It's the whole ecosystem, right? You have your pipeline set up, you have your security posture set up, you have cost estimates and cost tools and all that stuff. So it's a really whole ecosystem, and this is too much of disruption. So that's where the idea was born. And obviously this is our experience when we got acquired by Tenable. I was one of the core members who was actually taking care of that migration of one account to another. And there is no really shortcut with this. So yeah, we have felt this pain, and that was the main reason. And this particular problem is very close to our hearts. And that is the main reason why we wanted to start FluidCloud. Basically, it solved this particular problem.
Let's dive into the MVP for FluidCloud, that first version of the product you built. How long did it take to build, and what sort of tools were you using to bring it to life?
First of all, we took 4 months. We started something like last year, August. So Sharad and me, we were having this, okay, let's want to do a simple MVP. Would be, hey, there are a bunch of resources running in AWS. and you'll just log in into Azure account. It's empty. You come to FluidCloud, just do a migrate button, and then there you go, refresh that Azure account, and you see all the resources appeared there. And I said, okay, we can do that. We started looking into lot of AI. So people were doing code generation, right? Golang code generation, Python code generation with all the coding assistants and stuff like that. So I thought, okay, it'll be cool thing. The MVP would be, okay, we'll use some AI and our own models, and we'll train some models, and then we'll generate terraforms. But interestingly, we actually wasted 4 months with that because AI was never able to come up with an 100% accurate terraform which can just run on click button migrate. There was always a human intervention needed. So I told this to Sharad, hey Sharad, I think this is too aggressive and too ambitious thought you have taken. We cannot achieve it. So there was a time where that 4 months, we spent 4 months in doing something and we couldn't do it. And then we felt in the phase where, okay, what should we do then? Should we start something else? What is if this is not possible? Then that's when we went back and had that breakthrough where the reason we were avoiding is of building that mapping. And as Sharad said, there are different APIs and stuff. The reason we were avoiding it's because it's too much of an initial effort, literally humongous. Just to give you some bare random number, that the combinations number of possible ways how you can configure an AWS cloud account goes into 3 to 4 billion combinations. And when you multiply that with similar equal amount in Azure and GCP. So imagine building that mapping engine which can have the whole 3 billion, 9 to 10 billion combinations is almost impossible to do. So we went ahead and we started working on that mapping ourselves in-house. And that's when we felt that breakthrough. And yes, what Sharad actually had that vision, hey, click button migrate, zero human intervention. We were able to achieve that. That came out in first week of December, yes.
I think the initial MVP, one of the ways when I look into it is those are just the experiments which we do. As Harshit rightly said, we wasted a lot of time with AI. And when we look into it, when there are a lot of competitions which heard what we were doing and they're trying to do it. And most of them assume that we are doing through AI. And that was the fun part because they're still trying to do it. So I'm loving it.
Today's episode is brought to you by .tech Domains. And this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, when I was building my own tech startup, I went on the hunt for that elusive .com. Looked high, looked low, and guess what I found? Nothing. What I did find cost me an arm and a leg. So I did what every founder does under pressure. Threw in extra letters, settled for the less than optimal name. And here's what I wish someone had said to me back then. Noah, you're building a tech startup. Just get a .tech domain. Tech startup, .tech domain. It could not be more obvious. It tells investors, customers, and anyone who looks at your website, really, that tech is at the core of your build. And I've kicked myself plenty since, especially when I see the clean and sharp names tech companies have landed on .tech. Nothing.tech, 1x.tech, Aurora.tech, CES.tech, Ultra.tech, Alice.tech, Neon.tech, Blaze.tech, Pi.tech. You get the idea. So take it from someone who learned it the hard way. If you're building a tech startup, don't overthink it. Get a .tech domain. This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. Building with AI coding tools is exciting until the moment things start breaking. You ask for a small change and suddenly 3 other features stop working. AI gets confused, misses edge cases, and loses track of your intent. The problem is not code generation. The problem is planning. That is why BrainGrid exists. BrainGrid acts as your product management agent. It writes clear specification, maps UX flows, asks the clarifying questions you forgot to ask, and breaks big ideas into engineering-grade tasks that AI coding tools can build reliably. It guides Cursor, Claude Code, Replit, Windsurf, and others so they deliver features that work and keep working. Founders use BrainGrid to build real AI-native SaaS products without a technical background. If you want reliable features instead of fragile prototypes, try BrainGrid for free at braingrid.ai. That's braingrid.ai. This episode is sponsored by Alcor. Global hiring for engineering teams can be a nightmare. Too many providers, hidden fees, slow support, and local rules that don't make sense. Alcor is a different kind of EOR partner. They're built for tech companies scaling across borders with deep expertise in Eastern Europe and Latin America. Alcor combines employer of record services with tech recruiting, helping you choose the right country, find and assess engineers, and onboard them in days, not months. Nearly 85% of what you pay goes straight to your engineers. Alcor's fee decreases as your team grows, and you can always bring the team in-house with zero exit fee. That's why Silicon Valley startups, including 5 unicorns, work with Alcor. Learn more at alcor.com/podcast or tap the link in the show notes. So then you've gone through the process, right? You've dug into AI, figured out it's not what you wanted, and then you got to the point where you have your MVP. How did you progress and mature FluidCloud from there? And I think to wrap that in a box a little bit, what I'm looking for is how did you build your roadmap? How did you go about deciding that, okay, this was the next most important thing to build or to address with FluidCloud?
One of the ways I would suggest is, and this is to all the entrepreneurs, the way they are working, you yourself are the super user. You yourself are feeling the pain. Look at the way the companies like Apple came up. Look at the way companies like Google, Slack came up. Everything was for the personal use. So when you yourself are the super user and you can imitate the pain somebody might have, and you're intelligent enough and not lazy enough to solve it. A very typical way of building a startup is, hey, I'll do 100 user interviews and I'll figure out what the problem they're facing. And then we'll come out with all the problems and then we'll try to build a solution. Goes back to Henry Ford, what he said, if I would ask my user, they would need a faster horse. So one of the mistakes what most of the entrepreneurs do is they'll go to the users and ask them what we build. Today, the time and the era has changed so much, and I don't know if that was true or not, but this is what we keep hearing about Mr. Henry Ford. But in today's era, what has to happen is you have to give the best the tech has to offer to the user to solve their problem, not exactly building what they're saying, because technologically, the user has a very limited knowledge on what maximum could be built. Otherwise, he would have solved it or she would have solved it by now.
We were not taking any shortcuts in order to build a lot of things, right? There's literally no shortcut of doing things. And typically what happens in a startup, you have to have that pressure of, okay, we have to get out in the market because we lose time, or we might have to take something. Let's do some patchwork for now for the MVP, and then we'll go ahead and build something later once we see the traction. We had this vision, okay, people will be using multiple clouds, but we never took shortcuts. Even in December when we came up with that MVP, our MVP had a dev stage and prod, like all 3 deployments. We had the whole overall automated deployments, and then we actually went ahead and invested a lot of things on the building that our own custom QA framework as well as unit test cases. We started with 10% unit test coverage. Now, you don't see a startup where you have 0 customers. Why are you focusing on having one sprint just adding unit test cases and refactoring all the whole architecture? We had our MVP was performance benchmark with 35 million records of no downtime, literally. So there's no shortcut, and we took time. So when me and Sharad were talking, I said, hey, you have to give that time. And when that MVP comes up, we'll make sure it is ready for users to be taken up. So we were actually in the stage of MVP, but it was in the real world scenario, that would be like as good as a version 1 of any product release. Like users can just go and sign up and start using it and everything. Yeah, that was the philosophy we actually had.
Always great companies are built like bamboo, and I think pretty much everyone might have heard before about the bamboo parable, where you have to keep watering the bamboo for a couple of days, months, all the way together. You'll not see any results on day 1. You'll not see any results on month 4, but you have to keep giving the water. However, the day the bamboo shoots up, it shoots up 70-80 feet, and that happens very fast. And that means that all this while bamboo was getting ready for the hypergrowth. As Harshit said, we kept giving water for 1 year, and today when we are coming out of stealth, we are coming out of market, the kind of response which we are getting, even cloud service providers are literally amazed of how you guys were able to achieve it. And that's what we are really proud of.
In that description, you're talking about how, you're going about this and you're saying we. And I know you're referencing each other in that, but also there's a team there. How did you go about building that team? And what did you look for in those people to indicate that they're the winning horses to join you?
First of all, we had team from day one. A lot of our last company engineers wanted to join. Hey, you guys are doing something? I'm in. I said, look, you want to listen about the idea? Whatever you guys are doing, just count me in. So yeah, we had almost like 10 people, ex-Acarix guys, the same core team which worked with me. I was one of the individual contributors there, and then they liked my work style. They wanted to work with me again, and Sharad as well. Hey, because Sharad as a person, as he says, he's an absolute charm to just talk to, and he's a very personal guy. He connects with everyone on a personal level. So yeah, so when we started in August, we had 10 people working with us already. And then when a lot of other people was like, when we wanted to join, we actually were hiring, but we were going very gradually. One who believes in our vision, one who doesn't give scripts about complaints. People who are doing startups, they're hustlers. Whatever it takes to get it done. No complaints, no questions, whatever it takes. You understand what needs to be done like that. So that's what we look for.
When he's saying nobody complains, it's primarily on startup is a grind, and definitely you have to put a little more hours than normal. So from the cribbing perspective, that's what really Harshit means. But at a very fundamental level, when we plan to hire, I think we are hiring more on the people who are problem solvers. So somebody who might have a 5 years experience, somebody might have 15 years experience. We understand that one comes with experience, but we might actually go with somebody who's a problem solver. You give a problem to someone and then person can trace it back and then they can actually solve the problem. One thing which I've also realized is as we are progressing into this, big companies and small startups, they have very different culture. So I think people who have the attitude for startup, which is like beyond this, if like after like we are all celebrated FluidCloud and see how the natural progression happens, I want most of these guys to actually go out and build their own company. And can I give them a platform today to teach them how to build a company? So that's one of the ways I look into it when I hire. That they're really ambitious, they want to make a dent in the industry, and they're innovative, just coming out of the box ideas and fearless. I think that's one of the qualities which at a very fundamental level we look at, because the problem which we have taken itself needs people who are literally fearless. They have zero respect for the status quo, and they have the power to bend the technology. The similar way me and Harshit are also like that. That's what we look at. But at the base level, these people should be fun to work. I would say they believe in the company vision, but they also believe in the company values. In this company, we have one philosophy: you can build a great company not being an asshole. This is exactly what we say to everyone. We'll have a lot of laughs and we'll just have so much fun and we'll work relentlessly. And all of that is possible. If you pick up the right problem and solve the right problem, market has all the opportunities for you.
This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If you're responsible for reliability, performance, or platform architecture, you already know the problem. Telemetry volume is growing faster than teams can manage it. Mesmo addresses this by moving observability upstream. Instead of storing everything and asking questions later, Mesmo processes telemetry in motion, filtering, transforming, and enriching logs, metrics, and traces before they reach your observability backend. The result is cleaner data, reduced ingestion costs, and faster root cause analysis using the tools you already rely on. Mesmo integrates with platforms like Datadog, Dynatrace, and open source stacks, giving teams more control without adding operational overhead. This is especially useful for platform engineers and SREs supporting complex distributed systems where context and speed matter. To see how active telemetry works in practice, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's MEZMO.com/codestory. Today's episode is brought to you by .tech Domains, and this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, when I was building my own tech startup, I went on the hunt for that elusive .com. Looked high, looked low, and guess what I found? Nothing. What I did find cost me an arm and a leg. So I did what every founder does under pressure. Threw in extra letters, settled for the less than optimal name, And here's what I wish someone had said to me back then. Noah, you're building a tech startup. Just get a .tech domain. Tech startup, .tech domain. It could not be more obvious. It tells investors, customers, and anyone who looks at your website, really, that tech is at the core of your build. And I've kicked myself plenty since, especially when I see the clean and sharp names tech companies have landed on .tech. Nothing.tech, 1x.tech, Aurora.tech, CES.tech, Ultra.tech, Alice.tech, Neon.tech, Blaze.tech, Pi.tech. You get the idea. So take it from someone who learned it the hard way. If you're building a tech startup, don't overthink it. Get a .tech domain. Let's move forward into scalability. And this will be interesting given it's got to be baked into your bread and butter and what you're building. But how did you approach that from the beginning? And I think what's more interesting is have there been interesting areas where you've had to fight scale as you've grown?
Not really. I mean, it might appear externally that, okay, we are doing a startup, we are small, but all of us basically who has worked on it, we have all worked in a big scale company. We know what are those design patterns are the most proven design patterns using scalable microservices architecture, whatever. Hundreds of ways some developers discuss about what solution goes and what are the loopholes and what are the pain points which end up later on. We are aware of that. So it's not that we are building a startup because we are small. It's just we are bringing in all those experience of a big companies from ground up. So when we started, we had everything sorted out from the day one, all the practices, what you find in a big enterprise companies, we do have that. We always felt this need of understaffed actually. We were started with 10 people, then we gradually started growing 15, 20. Now we are 35 people. And in the engineering is again 26 people. But our philosophy is no matter what, the number of features we are going to shape or we always had the 2 weeks of sprint cycle. Every 2 weeks we release features and the number of features we are shipping. Whether there is one person in the team or whether there's 10 person in the team, there's no difference.
The way I always look at it is when we started with this whole problem, I understood one thing very clearly. The product has to be built on day one for scaling. And the reason for that is multi-cloud is starting, just to start with, it's the Fortune 2000 problem. So that's the scale we might be actually going with. And then also we realized that from an MVP perspective, when we just started with and all the way to how do we scale? From the time we started the first iteration of the product till now, the way we designed the whole product was to scale, and the way we have put the whole architecture is just to scale. So today, adding a feature, adding a cloud service provider in itself is not really a big issue. So that's the way we thought about it. Also, from a scaling perspective, this is more from the tech side. From the business perspective, the scaling is primarily, we understand that this particular pain point of people exiting VMware because of the price rise becomes our headpin. And the way it becomes our headpin is because VMware has given almost 1,000%, this is approximate numbers, but approximately around 1,000% price increase. They have sent ceased and desist letter to perpetual license holders. All of them, they are on a timeline. And since they are on the timeline, our next best alternative is a consulting company. And if they go with that, consulting companies can also use us. But now instead of paying $5 million to a consulting company, they can actually spend X amount of dollars, and which is much lesser than $5 million, and still get the same job done. And that's the breakthrough which we wanted. And this is we knew that the problem is big. Today, Gartner came out with its own study. They have said almost 70% or 75% of all the VMware customers would exit over next 2 to 3 years. And there is another public poll which they have done. 74% of all the VMware users think that they'll be rethinking their relationship on the VMware side. So most of them are planning to either move to alternatives like Nutanix and others, or either they would like to go cloud native. And we want to be the torch holder for that.
I'm curious about, as you step out on the balcony, you look across all that you've built. With FluidCloud specifically, what are you most proud of?
Definitely not one thing, but a couple of mentions. We have a couple of patents. We are proud of our mapping, which is basically the core engine. basically that provides the value. What is like literally what we thought. Me and Sharad, we were like discussing last year, hey, people would be moving from one cloud to another and there'll be outages coming up. And like you cannot depend on a public cloud infrastructure. There's always things go down and people felt helpless. So we want to build it where using which you can just go from one cloud to another like piece of cake, and it should appear like magic. And that is what we are actually getting a lot of feedback from the customers, and they're like talking about it. Oh, absolutely magical. And you guys have made it so simple. And 2025 has been really lucky year because every major cloud provider, hyperscaler has been gone through some outage. Like GCP had an outage in June, OCI had an outage in April, AWS and Azure both have had major global level outages in like October. So yeah, we are really proud of what we thought, the direction in which the industry is going. And we predicted that where the industry is going, and we exactly have the solution what people want. And that is just an amazing feeling.
One thing which I am fundamentally proud of is the team, because all of this is possible. The base layer is the team, the values of the team which we have, and the discipline, the way we run, high level discipline which we have in the team. And then what has come out of it? What has come out of it primarily is a great product, a great culture, and definitely happy customers. When we look into all of that, that's what makes us proud. Even from a product perspective, I think it's a 20-year-old industry problem, maybe more, I don't know. But it's almost a 20-plus-year-old industry problem. We're trying to go head-on with it. Another thing which I'm proud of, this is another fun thing which happened. Very recently, we were at AWS reInvent, and we were invited in a setting. It's like most of the guys, the CIOs and the head of infrastructures and few of the investors around. I was talking about what we are doing to the group, and then they said, you have not even used the word AI once. Most likely you're doing something meaningful. I'm interested. I said, we have AI. It's not that we don't have AI, of course. But for us, AI is just a use case. AI, it's a tool built to enhance a use case. That's what the way we look at AI. That's the reason we are FluidCloud.com, not AI. And then the thing is, what we are building towards the AI has a pretty fundamental value, because all of that works primarily if you have all the functionalities correct. So that's what we are proud of, that from here, our future roadmap looks so strong that we are on a roller coaster ride.
Let's flip the script a little bit. Tell me about a mistake you made and how you and your team responded to it.
We did say that earlier in our interview. One of the mistakes we did was using AI. And that's, guys, why is this is not working? Like, we tried doing everything possible under the sun. It was painful. That was one. Another thing is, one of the mistakes, what I think at a very fundamental level, is getting the clarity of who we exactly want as part of the whole team. As things got more clear as we are progressing. So I think that clarity also came. So, that also is one of the things which I think more clarity came as we are building this whole new ecosystem on the infrastructure side. From a go-to-market standpoint, I think one of the mistakes we always think, and this is Naval always says this, one of the entrepreneurs, that people try to keep company under stealth, and then they come out and then they think, voila, I'm here, guys, just go for it. Selling is extremely painful, and we do realize that part. But the thing is, the network effect is equally valuable. Once you have something extremely valuable for the industry, it just goes through word of mouth. On day one, I was expecting, hey, I should be having like 200 leads. Why there are not 200 leads? And then now we have built a very good pipeline, which is definitely a very qualified one. But I think that those thoughts initially were like, oh, it doesn't work this way. Actually, Naval was right.
There's like our second startup together, right? And Sharad being repeat transformer. I was just an individual contributor, but now I'm like being as a founder. But the thing is, if we assume things, we are doing this second, we know this, we know our stuff. But yeah, trust me, when you start a startup, things are not easy. None of those assumptions work. there is literally, as we said, there's no shortcut. Right? There's no shortcut for, like, you have to do your homework, no matter how many times you have done it, how things are repeatable. But then, yeah, you cannot take shortcuts. So we had this, as what Sharad said, we had a lot of assumptions over, hey, we have this cool product. The whole world would just jump on it and start using it. But then we realized, oh, it's so difficult. You come up with some idea which nobody has ever seen. And now it takes time for them to understand. There's a lot of skepticism about it. How are you guys doing it? Why could other people do it? And stuff like that. We joke around in the company like, hey, it takes more time to decide to move to a cloud than actually move to the cloud.
This will be fun. Let's move forward then. What does the future look like for FluidCloud, for what you've built, for the product, and for your team?
From the vision standpoint, it doesn't change. We want to build this industry fluid from the cloud perspective. And that's where we are relentlessly working on this. From a future standpoint, there are a couple of things. There are surprises for the industry which are coming in the future. Can't tell much, but I think right now we are heads down on closing the customers we have. And yes, I think the scale and the speed of growth, that itself is quite overwhelming. So that's something which we want to be very careful about, that we eat what we can chew and digest too, and not take much, because we are at a stage where we are about to touch the J curve. We are about to touch the product market fit. And so once we have, and I think when you solve a very critical problem, that comes very fairly early. So that's where we are. From a technology standpoint, I think just all these customers we have, just keep working with them, make it more scalable, there are features which they think are not aligned to what they want. And if we hear it time and again, we want to make those changes. But yeah, I think at this point in time, there are so many surprises for the industry. The time will definitely reveal that.
Yeah, honestly, we don't know where will this go, but at the same time we are also like just making sure we are prepared for that in every way. And yes, we do have a lot of surprises and a lot of cool things coming up.
Let's switch to you guys. Who influences the way that you work? Name a person or many persons or something you look up to, and why.
I admire Ratan Tata the most as an entrepreneur, because in a true sense, I think the way the whole Tata group was set up is just to give back to society. That's whom I always aspire to be. And that's how we have built the whole organization, is primarily we always give 2% of whatever our revenues are for our FluidCloud Foundation. So that's somebody I look up to always. And we have really good advisors, which is part of our FluidCloud journey. They have built almost companies to the scale of $100 billion. So I definitely look up to them with regards to, and that's what brings scalability, right? They know the mistakes I'm making and stuff like that. And then I look up to Harshit on most of the things where I lack and from where I am trying to get an inspiration also. So this is a thing which I keep telling him joke about. Before the word vibe code got coined, Harshit was a walking vibe coder. Like, he is the personification of vibe coding. So technology details, his technology know-hows is very refined. He's a man of details. I definitely look up to him for a lot of things where I think I sometimes I feel I need guidance on. What happened in the previous company, he had a coding sprint, I would say. He coded for almost continuously. He took an hour break or half an hour break, but he coded almost for 30 hours straight. That he just told me. And since we are co-brothers, brother-in-laws, he was in the same house as I was in. And he said, I'm going to take a short nap. And he took a nap. And I was hearing something from the room. I went inside the room and he's saying code in his dreams. And I have a recording of that. What's going on here? This is too much. So I just I didn't bother him that time. But that time I realized that only passionate people can build passionate startups.
I'm too passionate about coding actually. But yeah, my role models are I'm very much inspired by Steve Jobs, and my role models are Steve Jobs and Elon Musk. The reason mainly their approach. First of all, those guys, they are very refined thought process, what they want to achieve. They have a vision and then they have the execution, how they want to achieve it. And that's what really inspires me, in whatever way you see it. And yes, and I do learn a lot of things from Sharad. One thing which Sharad has made me learn is nothing is black and white. And in coding, like you always have an if and an else block, so either this or that. But when it comes to sales, marketing, business, whatever, nothing is straightforward. There's a lot of gray area. And so, yeah, I learned that a lot. He really connects to the people really well. And I'm like, I sometimes get amazed how he can just simply talk like as if those guys are just meeting after they're like best friends and meeting after such a long separated time, just talking around. And do you know this guy? No, this is the first time I met him. I'm like, okay, how do you do this? Just connect to people at a really personal level. Yeah, it's always a learning working with him.
Gentlemen, last question. So you're getting on a plane and you're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who's built the next big thing. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world, and can't wait to show it off to you right there on the plane. What advice do you give them, having gone down this road a bit, several times?
Reality check has to be there. Like, you cannot just simply become an ostrich and assume as a founder that, okay, I'm like super enthusiastic about it, and then yes, this will work. Do that market study. Take your time to come to a conclusion, take a decision. And once you have decided, once you have that vision sorted, then don't change. There'll be hundreds and thousands of people coming up just to test you out or just to always say something negative about it to make you change what you want to do. But if you believe in yourself, if you believe in that vision, and if you have the guts to do it, things will align. Have that reality check and have confidence, keep going. Ultimately, everybody becomes successful. Success is not a achievement in terms of an activity. It's a time-based measurement. If somebody can become successful in 1 year, somebody can become successful in 5 years, but eventually everybody becomes successful. So all you have to do is figure out what is the minimum time you can. How can you minimize that time?
Entrepreneurship journey itself is extremely painful. That's Jensen Mong always said. It's very painful because I think to build the generational value, it takes 3 generations sacrifice. Your parents will not get your time. Your family is not going to get your time. And your kids are not going to get your time. So there are 3 generations at stake. Like a wife is going to always say, hey, I need more time, but you can go give enough. And we both are very lucky. Like we have very high level of support at our. But yeah, it takes 3 generations sacrifice. So are you ready for that first? Because you can build a cool product today, but this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So have you built muscles enough to run on that marathon? And those muscles are primarily the resilience, which is there in not getting disheartened, as Harshit said. Because when we started with it, half of the people, they said, this is not possible. So you guys are taking an unachievable goal and this will never happen. Today, we are actually doing it. There are customers who are actually using it. So extremely proud of it. So that's going to be one. Second is identification of the problem in itself. So problem has to be good enough and high enough so people appreciate that. Your solution has to be, yes, of course, needs to be out of the box and it should work. Build for scale. Don't build to flip the companies. And also one thing which I would highly suggest, don't go with the waves. Today we have an AI wave. So I see a startup 2 years back. The company is called X. And then once the AI wave hits, it suddenly becomes an AI blog company. And then suddenly agents comes in. It's AI agent tech blog company. And then the next wave which comes in, which is AGI, which will be AI, AGI or whatever, agent tech blog company. People keep changing these companies based on what investors wants to listen to, but they should be building the companies what the user wants to listen to, what the user want to solve actually. So that's how great companies are built. Silicon Valley is burial ground of great products. So great product with good distribution. So if content is king, distribution is God. As you're doing this podcast, content is king, but distribution becomes God. So every single time somebody is actually showing me a great product, the next question is, what's your distribution strategy? So have a very clear distribution strategy while you are actually also building the product in parallel. That's where you need 2 co-founders sometimes. One is relentlessly working on building the product part of it. The other one is more focused on the distribution and the channel part of it. So that's how great companies are built.
Both fantastic pieces of advice. Well, Sharad, Harshit, thank you for being on the show today, and thank you for telling the creation story of FluidCloud.
Thank you so much, Noah. It actually felt like we're sitting over coffee.
This is the most enjoyable podcast I have ever had in my life.
That is great to hear. I appreciate that. And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.